Hey strong people, Beck here from StartingStrongman.com, and this video I'm covering some more questions brought to me from you through Instagram, that new Ask Me a Question feature, which I'm totally cheating on and not answering them back on Instagram. I'm making this video for you. Probably not the same people that answered them on Instagram, but YouTube gets what they get, the questions to answers. So we will start off. How often would you train strongman specific implements during a time when you have no contests planned? This depends on how proficient you are in strongman implements and what your weaknesses are, and just how long you've been doing strongman. If you're more advanced and you've done it a while, you need less time on implements and probably just need to bring up your general overall strength to stay competitive. If you're somewhat, and I see this happen a lot where people that are new to strongman or starting strongman, they get wrapped up in what people say that are more advanced, and they say don't train as many implements, blah blah blah. But every implement is a skill, and if you're new, there's so many, you need to become proficient in each skill. So you should spend more time doing the implements. I think even if you are just doing a general strength training program, it makes sense to have some sort of press, some sort of a load, and some sort of moving event in each week. It can just be for lower volume and just working on speed, working on reps, more, just working on doing stones to height. Just not as heavy as you would for a contest prep, but at least do them once a week, and you're going to be deadlifting something anyways. But it's highly specific. Thoughts on Team Nationals? It looked great. I think Strongman Corporation Team Nationals, United States Team Nationals. I didn't catch too much of the live stream, but it looked like fun. Everyone had a good time. Heard good things from Jerry Hanley and Paul Moser. What is it? That it went well. I was happy to be able to sponsor that contest. Thanks to people like you who go to store.startingstrongman.com. And good job at that contest, Ethan. Okay. What do you think is the number one key to increasing strongman popularity and getting it to explode like CrossFit has? So strongman is growing. It's just maybe not like CrossFit has. The problem is everyone looks at the CrossFit Games, which is going on right now, and they go, wow, there's so much prize money, there's so many people watching. That's because the people that run the CrossFit Games, it's like a giant advertisement for CrossFit. So if strongman was ran in the same way, where we're trying to sell gym affiliations and seminars and education, which isn't in strongman isn't controlled by the same people that run the contest, there'd be no point. So they don't necessarily need to make money on the CrossFit Games. So to answer that question, if you want to make it explode the same way that CrossFit has, how you're talking, then there needs to be a concentrated effort to kind of combine, have a sanctioning body, oversee who's going to be an official strongman gym, who's going to be running different seminar staff, some of the pro athletes doing it. And this has been tried in the past, but the problem is the genie's out of the bottle. CrossFit started from the bottom, controlled all of that, then brought about the sport, versus strongman's been a sport for 30 years before people really thought like, oh, we could have seminars and stuff like that. So it's not really going to work in the same way. The best way for it to keep growing is just to keep doing what it is. There's lots of stuff going on. I don't even get to cover most of the high level shows that are going on here. I just don't even have the time. But what you need to do is there just needs to be more good media, more interviews with the athletes, just more exposure. CrossFit's really done well, other than just having a good business model. What's made them grow is they're a great media company, and they put out a lot of content. And Strongman, they just needs to put out more content and make it more accessible, and that's something I've tried to do with starting Strongman, and a lot of other people have done as well. It's definitely grown tremendously in the past 5 years. It wasn't even an industry for athletes, at a non-world strongest man level, or even that, like where you could be making money doing seminars, online coaching, some sponsorship. There's more people making money in strongman now than there has been in a long time, I'd imagine. So it continues to grow, and people just need to put out more content and make it more relatable to more people. And you can do the same by, when people do put out that kind of content, to share it with your social media and stuff. And it really does help if there's, you know, an athlete you follow that want to show and there's a write-up written up, or they have their thing, share it on Facebook or share it to Facebook groups, etc. You got to just keep building get more eyeballs watching Strongman, and more people being able to realize that they can do it at some level. Okay, I get asked this question every week. How would you best practice log, clean, and press without access to a log? Well, I did write a book on how to train strongman without implements, called How to Train Strongman in a Regular Gym, which you can get at store.startingstrongman.com. But I'll answer this anyway. So you're not using something like a Swiss bar or a neutral grip bar is going to help. Just generally getting your shoulders as strong as you can through various pressing is your best key. Putting a little bit more emphasis on your upper back, spinal rectors. Basically what I say is the log clean is very similar to any other front-loaded implement like a stone or a keg. So if you have those, do lots of one motions where you just, roll-ups where you're just extending with the keg, extending with the stone. And that's going to be somewhat similar to the form with the log. And then just do a lot of pressing to get strong shoulders, and do a lot of back work to get a strong back. Do a lot of front squats to get good leg drive and a strong core. And really, you need to get a log. It's if you're going to get 3 implements in Strongman, that is one of them. The other would be yoke and stones. Can Lalas win World's Strongest Man 2019? Which one? There's 2 of them. But the answer is the odds are not in the favor. But Tadas got very, very close in 2012. He's still strong. I think he's still kept up to some extent, but I think the sport's kind of kept evolving as well, not taking anything away from him. But yeah, it's tough. I hope so. I'm a big fan, but if I was betting, I'd say no. Everybody tells you not to use a weightlifting bet at all since you're not maxing out, but every lift on Instagram is with a belt. Shocker. Yeah, I think lifting without a belt, my personal opinion, is it's overrated. All it did ever was get me a hernia doing beltless yoke runs. For some people, there might be some benefit. You don't also want to rely on it, but every just strong person I've ever really known or trains with a belt all the time. So you have a good point. I think it's one of those things where it's like people think a belt is to protect your back, and it's not necessarily the case. It's just another tool. If you want more information on that, there's a huge study / article that Greg Nuckols did about the pros and cons of belt versus beltless training. I think his website's like Stronger by Science or something, but just Greg Nuckols beltless. You'll find that it'll have way more. It's tons of words, and I think the conclusion was that it's kind of doesn't really matter. What are your best tips for keg toss? You have to be smooth and then very explosive and get the timing down so it releases at the right point. Practice doing dumbbell snatches, kettlebell swings, and just tossing things up into the air. Whatever you think you're not going to get sued for tossing into the air, toss them into the air, and just get comfortable with it that it's not going to fall on you and stuff. A lot of people are nervous throwing things because you don't know where it's going to go. They're worried about hurting other people, so you just have to just get comfortable throwing. So I usually do maybe anywhere between 5 to 10 throws, just trying to get a nice arc, getting that down right. How far out from a comp do you get extremely sports specific with event training? That's a good question based on the nationals events for USS are at least literally a year ahead of time, and people are already just starting to do sandbag tosses, which is one of the events. So it's like, it's not necessary. I'd say you shouldn't need to be too event specific in Strongman. That maybe 12 weeks is a good training cycle, but honestly, if you've been doing this for a while and you're pressing things, you're deadlifting things, you're loading things, you're moving with things, you're going to be pretty well prepared to just kind of transfer that to a similar movement that's a slightly different technique. If you are like a thinking man, strong man, or woman at all, you know. I don't know for sure, but Leif Engel's just won strongest woman in the world in middleweights, and she looked like she's like traveling all over without consistent implement access for the past couple months leading up to it. But she's very smart on how she approaches training. She has a good understanding of how different movements are going to apply to the other. So I think people get way too specific and worry about it, especially at novice, at a beginner novice level. During a water cut, is it necessary to change your diet? That's a hard question, and if you are considering doing a water cut and you need to ask that, I highly recommend that you get a coach to help you with that diet to make weight. It's just honestly. I'm 245 to 250 pounds. Would it be better cut down to 231 or stay in heavyweight? Depends on what your long-term goal is. Do you want to be a heavyweight strongman, or do you foresee long-term you'd rather compete at middleweight? If you only want to do middleweight, 231 for one show to try because you think you'd have a better chance at winning, don't. Just, if your long-term goal, ask yourself what your long-term goal is and work back from there, and don't hop, skip all around and zig and zag all over the place in between. Experiences with a snatch grip, axle clean. Yeah, it gave me the scar. That's called a bicep tear. That's my experiences. Favorite event to do? Log press. Favorite event to watch? Medleys. Not my favorite event to do. Just anything cool. Anything. I like long medleys, like the one that was at Worlds. That race between Hafthor Bjornsson and Kielczykowski was pretty cool. How you increase hand size? You marry a woman with big hands so that you hope your offspring are not haunted with small hands like mine. My son looks like he has giant hands, so it worked out for me because my wife's 5'10". How short is too short for Pro Strongman / World Strongest Man final? The answer is, if you are worried that you are too short to be successful at strongman, then you are, because you already have that mindset. Every short strongman I know that is successful never fucking asked that question. They just went out and got stronger. That's it. All right, that is the questions for the week. Thanks for asking them. Thanks for watching. Go to store.startingstrongman.com for all of your strongman training needs. Hit subscribe, like, ask a question below. Be covered in next week's Q&A, and you all have a strong week full of PRs.